Hello guys, welcome back to Avalon and a very happy new year. Now it's official. I hope you're having a good start to your personal 2026 and I'm wishing you all the best for this upcoming year. This is going to be a full moon reading because today we have a full moon in Cancer at about 13 degrees, and I thought as I'm shuffling the decks here today with a little blanket, because I realized in my last reading that shuffling was kind of loud, so it's not happening again. But as I'm shuffling, I want to kind of tell you a little bit about this full moon because it's quite interesting. For starters, full moons are always culmination points. So a cycle is definitely closing out or becomes complete. And so in this case, with the full moon in Cancer, we're closing out a cycle that began about 6 months ago with the new moon in Cancer on June 25th of 2025. So if you think back to last June up until now and kind of reflect those 6 months, what comes up? What do you remember about that time? What have you been going through? Was there a major shift? What were you experiencing, especially emotionally speaking, right? Because with this full moon being in Cancer, this is a highly intuitive, healing and reflective energy, inviting you really to slow down and, allow your feelings to come to the surface and tuning in to what they are really telling you. So this has a lot to do with emotional reflection and even emotional hygiene. You might notice an increase in your emotions, kickstarting the year on a more, introspective, intuitive note. Maybe you feel the need to stay home or contemplate your relationships. Your intuition may also be highlighted around this time. With this being a full moon, like I've said, this is a great moment to release old emotional patterns. So are you someone who easily overgives or overshares? Are you emotionally stuck maybe on a past relationship, on a past friendship? All of this might be highlighted right now for you to close that out. So how can you make sure you find more balance in also caring for yourself equally as much, or even more so than for others? Or how can you overcome those last strains of maybe emotional attachment to a person? All of this might be something to contemplate. A little bit of astrology here. This is a full moon at about 13 degrees of Cancer, opposing the sun at 13 degrees Capricorn, which could cause some tension between, more Cancer-focused themes of home, family, emotional needs, and the more Capricorn-focused themes of achievement, accountability, career, all that kind of stuff. So we kind of have a polarity between the private and the public life, or the unconditional as well as the conditional love, which might cause some emotional upheaval. So make sure you rest and invest into some self-care and maybe even some alone time if you feel like that is something that you need. Besides that, there's also a strong energy of not just feeling your feelings but really expressing them, showing them, and not tucking them away anymore. You might also receive a creative spark or a new idea that motivates you to return to unresolved or unfinished projects or things in your private life. We kind of had that message coming through with our New Year's message that I uploaded to the channel a few days ago. So you might want to check that out. But maybe you really want to return to some creative hobby or idea that was kind of unfinished, that you really want to get back to. So there's lots of progress and creativity coming our way, really motivating us to tend to some personal goals and intentions, which is, I think, a very nice energy for the beginning of this new year. So another thing might be if you have significant Aries, Libra, Cancer, or Capricorn placements, this moon is likely to influence you the most. But overall, I'm just sensing this very positive energy and this opportunity really to purge, to release some old emotional energies that have been hanging around for far too long. So this full moon definitely sets kind of the emotional tone for this new year. So let's see what's in the cards here today. I'm going to start off with the overall moon message here for this full moon in Cancer. Going to put the blanket away. So let's see what Spirit has to say about this full moon in Cancer. Any additional messages to what I have already mentioned, Spirit? What is the overall energy? What is the overall message here for this full moon in Cancer? There is a card that flipped in the deck. Nothing is yet set in stone. Ooh. I'm going to shuffle one more time to see if there's anything else showing up. Nope. This is the main message we have here for now. Nothing is yet set in stone. And back at the deck energy is be bold and make the first move. Okay, I'm going to look at that energy. Okay, so you might have your own associations with these cards already, but nothing is yet set in stone, and be bold and make the first move really reminds me of this message that we have gotten a few days ago here with this New Year's message. Everything is possible. And I know that kind of sounds a bit cheesy, but if there's a dream, you got to protect it. If there's an idea, if there's a creative spark that you want to follow, you can follow it, you can do it, you can start today. This is a new year, this is a new you, if you want it, and you can create your life in new ways, not necessarily from scratch, but in new ways, you know. And with nothing is yet set in stone, mutable moon, this is an energy of some, especially with the waves, you know, I'm kind of reminded of this emotional upheaval that I've been talking about, where a lot of emotions might come to the surface. You also might spend some time on the beach or surrounded by water. There might be an energy of some past emotional hurts, wounds, maybe even traumas coming to the surface for you in order for you to close them out with this full moon. I've talked about this before. And with be bold and make the first move, this really is a card of, if you have this dream, if you have an idea of where you want to go, and right now you have gathered all this energy for this new year and you feel very excited to go after some new endeavors, Spirit is really saying to do it, you know, to find some sort of courageous, energetic boost for yourself that allows you to go after what it is that you desire. I'm going to clarify this message here. So Spirit, what detail can you give us in regard to all this? I'm really getting this energy of observing what you're feeling and to what thoughts these feelings are connected to. And if there's some unresolved emotional issues from the past, how can you tend to them? How can you reflect upon them? And how can you release them, you know? Maybe it's very difficult for you to accept an ending in a relationship or a friendship. Maybe there's some childhood issues coming up for you emotionally. And maybe you have a tendency, just like me, to shy away from looking at that, you know, because it's far easier to pretend they're not there and to tuck them away and gaslight yourself a little bit and telling yourself, oh, I'm going to look at that later, you know. But Spirit is saying this full moon is a great opportunity to tie up those loose ends, those loose emotional ends, and to look at the things that you don't want to look at and finally close them out so that you don't take them with you into 2026. And again, if there's the creative project that we've been talking about a lot already, how can you find it within you to just go for it, you know? And I mean, depending on what it is that you desire, depending on what it is that you want to work on, that you want to get back to, if it's a hobby, it might be easier for you than if it's like this big dream, this big life-altering decision. But Spirit is saying you have what it takes here. Everything that has happened, also emotionally speaking, in the past couple of months and even years, has brought you to this culmination point now that allows you to purge a lot of emotional energy, a lot of draining energy, so that you can step out in a whole new, refreshed energy and face whatever it is that you want to bring into this reality, knowing that you have it within you to anchor it in your life and to bring it forward. So Spirit, is there anything else, any more detail here? We have the 8 of Swords. We have the Tower. We have the 5 of Pentacles. And I'm going to ask for one more card here. The 3 of Cups. And back at the deck energy is the 9 of Pentacles. There is a sense here of all of us kind of being in our heads, feeling like a deer in headlights here, kind of stuck on some sort of thought pattern, some sort of belief. That is actually not true, you know. That kind of reminds me of the teachings of Esther and Jerry and Abraham Hicks, where your thoughts really run your life. And if you're telling yourself, I'm never going to achieve this goal of mine, I'm never going to be able to start over the way I want to, I don't have what it takes, that's exactly what you're going to attract in, because if you focus on the lack, you're going to attract more lack. But if you start to focus on more positive thoughts, you're going to attract more of that positivity in. And I know that sounds kind of surface level here. Just think positive thoughts. I don't mean it that way. I mean, can you go within and kind of notice when a negative thinking pattern comes up for you, where you talk very limiting and very negative about yourself, and catch you in that moment, really reflecting on that thought and trying to find the best, better feeling thought in that moment that you can think of, in order to kind of free yourself out of this energy of focusing on the lack and the loss, on the things that you might have left behind, so that we can attract to ourselves a higher vibration and a higher frequency that is going to allow us to go after those creative ideas that we have in mind for a very long time, right? There is a sense of overthinking things here, so you might feel like you have to have a very tight plan in place, a certain structure, and maybe if you don't have that yet, you feel kind of discouraged here. Spirit is saying you don't have to have it all figured out. This is another message that came through a few days ago. You just have to be willing to start, and you have to be willing to face the facts that maybe things work out a lot better than you think, you know. With the Tower here and the 5 of Pentacles, I do think that there's a complete breaking away from a pattern of negative self-talk and negative self-thinking, because I think what I've been talking about with kind of watching your thoughts, observing them, and trying to always reach for the better feeling thought instead of being kind of drowning in the negativity and the pessimism. I think you're already doing that, and I think you're going to break free from the thoughts that have been holding you back, maybe for a very long time. This is a new year, this is a new opportunity, this is a new chance to start fresh. And with all that is going on astrologically and in the energetic field, I do feel that a lot of us are breaking through some old patterns and some old mechanisms that really don't serve us anymore. And for us, showing up right now is just a pattern of overthinking, being stuck in your head, not knowing when to move. But it is you that keeps yourself stuck, you know. It is those thoughts that are discouraging you, and you can change those thoughts. You can change this thinking pattern. And I think Spirit is really telling you that you're already doing it, and that you should continue to do so, because it's ultimately going to lead to that complete breakthrough that I've mentioned before. So the Tower here is actually not a horrible card. I know a lot of people are kind of thinking, oh my gosh, this must mean like everything crumbles, everything falls into pieces. Yes, but sometimes things fall apart so that they can come together in whole new ways, you know. And what crumbles here is nothing else but the limiting beliefs that you have been telling yourself maybe for the last 9 years. They're falling away. There's a new energy coming in, a new motivation, and know that you can just go for it, and the other steps will appear as you go. But the Tower is actually a positive card. It's a card of awakening. It's a card of finding new ways, actually finding solutions when maybe you couldn't in the past because you were kind of stuck on something negative or telling yourself that you can't. With the Tower card, this is breaking away, and you actually know now what it is that you can do to go after that creative spark, start that side hustle, learn that skill. There's no more focus on lack, on the things that you have lost. And yes, sometimes though we have to leave some things behind that we're very comfortable with, but Spirit is saying that, growth and evolving as a person always goes hand in hand with loss and with having to leave certain patterns behind, certain habits, maybe even certain people. But that doesn't mean that the growth and the evolvement that you're going through is wrong. It just means that right now there's maybe a lot of changes in your life that you might feel a bit overwhelmed with, but you can get out of that. And you will in fact get out of that, because the last card we have here was the Nine of Pentacles, which is a very positive energy. You're going to come out at the other end being very stable, emotionally and mentally speaking, because you're now attacking the limiting beliefs that are holding you back. And you're going to find a new way forward, a new stability and foundation for yourself this year of 2026 that is also going to bring more financial abundance, but also more emotional abundance. We've been talking about releasing some old emotional energies, and I think the moment you allow yourself to release them with this full moon, and the moment you kind of step out of those negative thinking patterns, allowing yourself to let these emotional and mental blocks fall away, really cultivating this positive energy of this new year of nothing is yet set in stone and you can still start fresh and be open to that energy, then I just see you reach that Three of Cups energy, right? Which is an energy of celebration, of joy. You are going to, with this full moon in Cancer, finish up some loose emotional and mental issues, really stepping out of an energy of maybe some sort of a victim mentality, or just an energy of holding yourself back. Oh, I'm just a person who stands at the sidelines, cheering everybody else on, but I'm not actually going to step out into the spotlight, or take my power back and actually focus on the things that I want to do. Spirit is saying 2026 is your year of reconnecting with yourself and your desires, and of leaving anything that stands in the way with that, thinking in terms of your thoughts and your emotions, be released. And at the end of this, we have this great energy of reconnecting with your joy, maybe spending a lot of time with people that you love, being very proud of how far you've come. But Spirit is saying that right now you're on this journey of releasing what emotionally no longer serves you, so that you can step into an energy of more positivity as this year unfolds, because that positive energy is going to lead to positive thinking. It's going to increase your vibration, right? The law of attraction, and therefore you rise your frequency so that you can actually reach these creative ideas far easier. You can actually bring them into motion and make them happen a lot easier. Because again, if you hold yourself back, if you're constantly telling yourself you can't do it, or if you have some beliefs from your childhood where people told you you can't do it, I see you releasing all of that, especially when it comes to the emotional department. So this is the message that I have here for this full moon in Cancer energy. I hope you're having a good one. Thank you for being here, and see you next time.